Hello, friends. Hi, hi, hi. Blessings to you. I love that we get to journey together. I bow to your journey and to you and to our conscious, intentional evolution. So, my work today, and it's offered out for you, is to look at how to transcend the tendencies, the lower energy vibrations of shame. And it's one of our first experiences, likely, as a kid, of you having shame being used on us to um, domesticate me and to get me to make different choices. So I study and follow the work of Dr. David R. Hawkins in several books, and his work around how to transcend um, in consciousness, how to grow ourselves up, so to speak, emotionally and spiritually. And that he shows a map of consciousness in most of the books, including Power versus Force. And shame is really at the bottom of this. So as we move up, including then even beyond guilt and beyond anger and these more primal expressions, there's levels of consciousness that include acceptance, willingness, peace, love, and that of the Christ consciousness, the Christed consciousness, which is the goal. And it is a direction to go in, not a destination, not an arrival point. So I'll systematically look at this today, and I'm going to change the pace a little bit to give us an opportunity, even an invitation here to see what it would be like to actually embody this today as we go. So look at the tendency, for example, to self-punish. Oh my gosh, what have I done? I should have saw that. I was awful. I made a mistake. This self-hate, this recrimination, this cause, believing we're the cause of everything and that we're the cause of a disaster or the cause of a tragedy, that we caused something, and ain't it awful, ain't it awful, ain't it awful. So this tendency not just to awfulize it, but to turn it back on myself, that I could have caught that, I should have saw that, I wasn't thinking, what's wrong with me? So that tendency and the inertia of that since the beginning of recorded history is quite prevalent, dominant even in the lower part of the brain. So this means then starting today that whatever happens, if I forget to take the cake out of the oven, then the first step is a pause and self-forgiveness. It did not come to me to take the cake out of the oven. Instead of, I forgot to take it out and what's wrong with me? It's like the truth is, it didn't come to me to take it out of the oven. The thought did not occur to me, go take the cake out of the oven, as an example. Self-forgiveness. This week, I got a large dose and a large opportunity to do this because I have been, what in my mind, helping someone. And I learned that it was more enabling someone. And I'd had an intuition about this. I kept getting in my own guidance, not to mistake helping for hindering, that I'm hindering, not helping. And out of my helper gene and my desire to care and concern, that I kept doing what I really went against my own guidance. And they eventually admitted that they had not used the money the way they said they'd used the money, that they had gone in severe debt. So the money that I'd put forward hadn't been used for what it was intended for, what they said it was for, or what they did for that. So self-forgiveness. It was meant with pure, innocent intention. I was naive and gullible and trusted, and it was not the case. So, and then along that line, then instead of it's an error that's unforgivable, it's an error as a lesson. Big difference. So the old shame base would be errors are unforgivable, mine and theirs, versus this is error as a lesson. Like, I'm learning here. I'm not immune from my human tendencies. I'm not immune from the patterned way that I've been living 60 years. So this is then my error is a lesson. And it either teaches me how to do it, to keep doing it this way, or it teaches me how not to do it and to then choose another way. Another example then of the shame-based is like how judgmental, everything judgmental, exaggerating people's faults, my own faults, exaggerating that. That's what I mean by awfulizing, to see myself as some big loser or what's wrong with me, or to see others as that even. Instead of this is somebody in an evolutionary process, including me, and that I surrender to God's timing on this, that I cannot make a bean plant grow by pulling on it, including myself. So surrendering to God's unfolding as my life, that I have innate, inherent worth, the basis of unity teachings, to remember that my value, my power, my safety, my worth, my deservability does not come from externals, from external people, from external relationships, from external careers or professions or money or anything, that it is an inherent, innate power, value, safety, and worth. And to do whatever I can, meditation, contemplation, reflection, surrender, prayer, reading, quiet, to connect me with that and the reality of that. And as I then am able to condemn myself and others less, condemn less, forgive more, self-punish less, self-forgive more, less judgmental, more accepting, less judgmental, more inclusive. This is included in our humanity. This is included in our evolutionary processes. Less tendency to exaggerate faults, more than to say, okay, I have limits here. How could I go beyond these limits? What could I do here that may work? What have I done in the past that worked well? What have I seen others do that worked well? And instead of seeing things as the end of the road, this is the end of the road, which is one of my dominant patterns is so it's fight back, conflictual pattern. And I don't have as much of that. I have allergy to that, actually. And then the other one is to freeze, just shut down, freeze over, not do much of anything. I have an allergy to that too. And the other one is to go to action, do something. It often is preceded by, not my taking action is often preceded by, I'm done. I'm done. This won't work. This is the end of the road. I can't do this. Instead of, this is not the end of the road. This is the end of an old road. This is the end of the old painful way of doing this. And it's the beginning of a new road. This is a beginning of a new way of being with this. And that's a very, very different mindset. That's a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. It also includes this, the shame base keeps us, if we get too bound up in this lower tendencies of the shame, it's all about a kind of a narcissistic orientation. What I didn't get, what I wanted, I didn't get, what I thought I needed, I didn't get, what they should have done for me, could have done for me, would have done for me, they better do for me after all I've done for them. So this narcissistic orientation then shifts over as we transcend this to not a diminishment of self, not a shrinking of the self, an absolute care and well-being of the self with an orientation of concern for others. So this was painful for me. It likely was painful for them too. This was uncomfortable for me, and I can relate to how uncomfortable they likely are into this situation also. So it's less of the focus on me and the pain I'm in and my own losses, not diminishing them, however, not suppressing, depressing, disowning the feelings that I have about that, but including my own care and well-being and the care of others and relating to them and how they may have experienced something similar in this situation or another one. It also, moving out of that narcissistic orientation, then moves us to a instead of I'm the center of life, I'm the nucleus of life, the world revolves around me, to I'm a cell. Like in biology, I'm one cell in a larger organism. That perspective can ease it for me. I remember once hearing one of the astronauts say that he had a transcendent moment when he saw Earth floating there in space, and what a new perspective that gave him about him and his problems and his troubles and his existence when he saw it from a broader perspective. That also helps me to see a broader perspective, even to see that I'm one cell in an organism of life, an organism of humanity, an organism of a household, an organism of a workplace or whatever, that I'm one cell of that, one participant in that, not the thing itself. And if that's not humbling enough to cause some transcending, some transformation for sure, then I don't know what would be. So from this orientation of I'm the center of the world to I am one cell in a larger family, one cell in the family of humanity, one cell in an organism called life, not the thing itself. And this includes also transcending this to actually stop speaking the word should. So, should is a portal to hell. So, I should have done that. Well, the reality is I didn't. They should have done that. That's fantasy based. They should have done that, fantasy based. They didn't do that. So, see if you want to take that on, that you're going to eliminate the word should from your speak, from the power of your word, and it'll still come through, likely, predictably. So it's like, okay, I'm going to redo that. So I just heard a should, and I'm going to back up there and say that again. So she should have called me back by now, because she hasn't called me back by now. And if I really then want to talk to her, what would a sane, sensible person do? Call her again. No, I'm not calling her. She should have called me back. Portal to hell. So dropping the should, not speaking the should. It also includes looking back into our life and what I should have done, would have done, could have done, and dropping that, coming out of the fantasy that our past could be any different than it was. And it shifts us then out of no more shoulda, coulda, woulda, but an absolute, based on what I was believing at the time. That's how I handle that. Based on my emotional state at the time, that's what I was able to do. So that is our then practice of self-forgiveness, of surrender, of correctability. I see now that there was a different way to do that. I see now what I couldn't see at the time. a chance then to honor myself, to honor others, in the situations that we were in, and not to dump that shoulda, woulda, coulda over off on another person, because I'm not doing it to myself anymore either. So I'm going to do less of dumping and then just placing it off onto other people too. It also shifts us into this broader perspective where things are less awfulized and more normalized. Like those things that happened, those things that I did, are actually predictable, normal human responses. So they're less severe. It dials down the severity of it, the awfulization of it to this is actually normal human behavior. That was normal for relationships to experience some of that. That's normal for people at that in that age to do some of those things. It was more normal than I've been willing to see. This also then means that I live from a life of this is a new day. This is a new way. Today, right now, right here and now, is a new portal, a new way of being, and a choice that I can make to say, I'm going to work with this, and I'm going to do less of that old, painful, shame-based, guilt-based, lower tendency, lower energy kind of level of consciousness, and I'm going to actually choose and work for and work toward interrupting those patterns and then setting a new trajectory for whatever the rest of my life is. So I can't undo that. It's my favorite part of the past. It's over. And start again today with what can I do from here? And what I was not able to do then, I am able to do here and now. And I'm going to do what I'm able to do here from a different mindset, from a different level of consciousness, from a different place in my heart than I was able to do back there. It means then that I'm going to focus less on me being the center of the world, and to broaden my view of how I can relate to others, what they may be going for, caring for others, concern for others that does not leave me out, caring for me, concern for me, and self-care, my own well-being, and from that place of well-being to extend it out from others. So starting then today, I'm going to be less attracted to judgmentalness, less attracted to condemnation, less attracted to self-punishment, my self-punitive, recriminating ways. If we do nothing but stop blaming ourselves, that would be transcendence. No more blaming self. And if I blame myself less, I'm going to blame others less also. Real potential here that I'm going to shift out of this seeking love, seeking approval, seeking to be okay, and connect with the source of me. That this notion, this feeling, this shame that there's something wrong with me, that I'm unlovable, undesirable, is less attractive as I practice. My worth is as and of being a child of God. Innately, inherently loved, loving, lovable. And when I am awake to Source, connecting with Source, treasuring Source, devoting to time with Source, time with God, time with my breath, time with nature, time with whatever awakens me to that, reminds me to that, then I am free, free, free again. More expansive. And yes, transcending in consciousness. transforming old patterned ways and transcending in consciousness to being and expressing, realizing and feeling, living from a Christ consciousness, Christed consciousness. Blessings, beloved friends. I know who you are. I know what you are. And I know how you serve. God bless you and all blessings as you transcend. See you soon. MarthaCreek.com to contact me.